Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Greenlit Flicks. This is our new show where we debate topics, and to start off our debate, we will be talking about some of our favorite movies since 1995. We have a full March Madness level bracket here, 64 different movies from each one of us here. My name is Gage, and today I'm joined by Michael.
Hello.
And Tony.
Hello. Hi.
So this is our new show. We're calling it Cinemaffray because cinema for obvious reasons, and then affray means to quarrel with somebody and to have a disagreement with, and that's basically the gist of this show. Now we have a big bracket going that we're going to go through, but we're just going to do half a bracket on this show. So we're going to do 4 different matchups, and let's go ahead and kick this thing off with a bang. So the first movie that we have is Birdman, and it will be up against Short Term 12. Two very big movies that most people have seen and know. So I'm going to say that I chose Birdman because it was the Oscar winner of one of the best years that we've had in film and cinema here recently. Michael, you're the one that chose Short Term 12, right?
Yeah, I saw this movie on Netflix in probably the same year Birdman came out. And oh my god, I fell in love with this movie. It's basically like these therapists, like their story and how they are dealing with this group of basically mentally unstable kids, and it brings in a lot of like comedy and drama, and it mashes it really well together in this beautiful independent art style film. So I kind of fell in love with that. I mean, not to say Birdman wasn't a great film. That was easily my favorite movie of that year, but Short Term 12 definitely came out of nowhere for me, and I really fell in love with that too.
Now, Tony, how do you feel about both of these selections?
Well, I had seen Birdman way back around the time it came out. That was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago now.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd seen it around probably 2015, maybe 2014, and I loved it. I mean, I loved the whole aesthetic, the feel of like a Dark Knight, but with more human characters, I guess, like with less emphasis on the superhero aspect of being a hero. So I mean, I thought it was fantastic. I'm actually unfortunately not super familiar with Short Term 12. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, especially when that came out. It got a lot of hype and a lot of like indie buzz around it. So this particular matchup, not quite as informed as I will be later on, hopefully in this conversation. But yeah, I've at least seen one of the two.
And that's kind of the benefit of doing this kind of show where one of us may have not seen the other two choices movies, because obviously all of our selections, all of us made our own list. We mashed it together. So it's kind of like Michael and I will be fighting for Tony's approval on this.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had a really busy week, so I haven't caught up as much as I wanted to in these movies. But I think for next week, I want to be like an expert in all the choices we have. For this week, you guys can fight for my love, basically.
Well, you see, that's the thing with anytime Michael chooses a movie, and he'll admit to this, we've talked about it multiple times, he always goes for that artsy, independent feel, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But all three of us have very different taste, and you can see that as we go throughout. I mean, heck, the first half of this bracket, there's very different vibes throughout all these movies.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a pretty interesting way to go. Now, with Birdman, there's not a lot that I need to say. This movie won 4 Oscars, and it should have won 5 because Michael Keaton should have won that Oscar, but that's not the point. You have the best cinematography that I've seen in a long time. It's all shot it's all one shots pretty much. There's only I think 7 visible cuts in this movie, and that's incredible. That's unheard of nowadays to have not only one shots that often, but to do it so fluidly the where you can't see the cuts because of how they do the cinematography and the camera work and everything involved with that makes this a very beautiful movie. And like you said earlier, the human characters in this movie are fantastic. A lot of these characters are making fun of themselves, which I love. Michael Keaton makes fun of himself in this movie. Edward Norton really makes fun of himself throughout this movie. But
and they not only like make fun of themselves, they kind of make fun of the characteristics that they have.
Yeah.
And they're not like bizarre characteristics. They're characteristics that you would run into every day. Like you've got the guy with the big ego and the hipster shy girl and this guy who's trying to like rebuild his life. You know, you meet people like that, and they did a great job of like bringing that whole group of people together into a story.
Playing off the archetypes that you see in movies and in real life at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and you know, I think that this is kind of where I started seeing that ending where we don't really know what happens, that ambiguous ending. Like, is he really dead? Is he, for whatever reason, flying? Which seems super unlikely due to the fact of what we've been dealing with here.
Yeah.
But, you know,
hey man,
this is
if
where
the car
I
at the
saw
end of
that
Grease
trend.
can fly, so can he.
I guess that's true. That is true. But I think that, you know, this is where I really started seeing that ambiguous ending. I'm not trying to blame this movie for that annoying habit, but it has become very popular here recently. But to get back on track, I mean, we have the unbelievable cast. So we have not only Michael Keaton and Edward Norton, we also have Zach Galifianakis. We have Amy Ryan, Emma Stone, Naomi Watts. So this is a great ensemble cast, even though there's only very few times that you see most of them in a room together. You know,
that's true.
It's very infrequent, and the dialogue in this movie, not only was it delivered great because it had to be, but it was written spectacularly. The director, he won 2 back-to-back Best Directing Oscars. So that goes, you know, it goes without saying that this movie was, I think it's revolutionary, especially we were in a lull there in terms of cinema for a long while, in my opinion. So
around that time.
Michael, I'm going to go ahead and defer to you to state your case for Short Term 12.
Oh, okay. Like I said, it kind of follows the people who are in charge of watching these kids who are going through these mental breakdowns in their life due to various reasons. And it shows not only the kids in this state of, you know, the kids are going through what we would equate to extreme puberty problems. You know, it's like things that every child goes through, but it's kind of reached that point of like instability for their parents to handle, and they need treatment. But it's interesting. The movie also goes into the subject that the adults, the therapists who are trying to help these kids, are kind of in the same state. You know, they're unstable and they don't really quite have their lives together, and they have the same mental issues. It's just that they've grown up and they've maintained control somewhat over their emotions, and sometimes it doesn't work. Their methods don't work, and sometimes it does. And it paints this, I mean, the whole movie just paints this beautiful picture of mental illness between this group of kids and adults, and how they share and have the same effects and influence on them. And on top of that, it's got this great art style, great direction, beautiful cinematography. It doesn't follow, I'd say, a typical indie script. It does keep to a very strict Hollywood style narrative too. And on top of that, this movie started the career of both Rami Malek and Brie Larson, I believe.
Uh, well, I'll check and see if it, like you said, started their careers. I know Rami
Well, I don't
Malek,
mean
I
started
believe,
like
like
I don't mean
really
started
shot them
like
into the
first movie.
stratosphere.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't mean like
understand.
first movie, but like yeah,
Their breakout roles.
their breakout role, their critically acclaimed role.
Yeah, and you just brought up the cast. This cast is no slouch either. Both those names are
No.
really big names. Rami Malek is more known for his TV work
Yep.
with everything he's doing on. I think what's the show? It's the Spy Show. It's on USA. I don't know. I'll click on his face, but
Yeah, it's like the cyber
yeah, Mr. Robot.
hacker
That's
show.
what it is.
Mr.
Oh
Robot, yeah.
And then Brie Larson, she won the Oscar for Room, not to be
For
confused with
Room,
The
which
Room.
which
But
was like maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years after Short Term 12.
I mean, she was also in movies like I'm pretty sure she was like in 21 Jump Street, wasn't she?
Yep.
But I mean, she's been in a bunch of different stuff. That's wherever she started really doing the. She did more movies along the line of, like what you said, Room. She did more
Yeah.
serious roles, and I mean now she's gonna be Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
So
now she's
not,
enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
yeah, she got her Oscars. Like I said, once you get your Oscar, you can just relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, take a break. Chill.
So, in terms of voting, this is how I think we're gonna basically do it. So, this round, we can do I vote first, Michael votes, and then Tony votes. The next round, we'll do Tony votes, I vote, Michael votes. That makes sense?
Okay.
We just
Sure.
keep
Yeah.
rotating?
Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
So, do we have any last things we want to get out there before we go to voting? Michael, I'll turn to you first.
Hmm. No.
Dramatic pause.
They're both great. It's so hard. Um, especially when I picked one. But will I vote first, then?
No, I mean, I'm just trying to get last thoughts out of the way. Tony, would you like to
Oh, okay,
toss
go
anything
ahead.
in here?
Yeah. So in terms of this whole competition as a whole, I don't know if you've explained it before, but is this going to be our favorites or which movie we think is better, or how are we justifying our votes here?
So, in terms of that's a good question. So, with a lot of these movies are our favorites, but a lot of them are also our best. Or a lot of them are the
hmm
best from that time. There's a healthy mix of both groups here. So we can take both of those
hmm
into consideration. We can take in, their like recognition. How many
hmm
awards or like we have talked about with Brie Larson and Rami Malek. How has it altered the course of careers and things of that
hmm
nature? So honestly, it really comes down to the overall picture, not only of just which movie do we like better. There's which movie is actually better, and which we can say which one's our favorite, but it can't just be like for me, I know who I'm voting for, but
hmm
I think that whenever I take that into consideration, it's not only the fact that it is I'll put my vote out there. I'm voting for Birdman because not only was it my original pick, but it won 4 Oscars. It had one of the best ensemble casts I've seen, and
hmm
it also is my favorite of the two. But the fact that it has all these other things working for it, basically. So that's kind of how I'm breaking it down personally. So.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like I said, I vote for Birdman because of not, it had 4 Oscars. It was a big year in terms of cinema, turning it to where, like this year, we're looking forward to this Oscar season. I it's it's this. I relate this year a lot to the 2013-14 year where we are excited to see, or 14-15 rather, those movies. You know,
Yeah.
because there's just such a bevy of great film. And I think that really, like, those movies made a turning point to where, at least in my life, the 2014-15 Oscar season is what made me really get back into being interested in film and in a critical analysis type thing and not just the big blockbuster movies. So that's me. And next up would be Michael.
I'm going to stand by my movie, Short Term 12. Even though Birdman was my favorite of 2014, I think Short Term 12 brought, even though it didn't have the notification and the notoriety, I think it really pulled a lot of it brought a lot of issues to the table, and I think it had potential and will in the future have potential as that movie that people say, oh yeah, Short Term 12, that was a good movie.
And Tony, take the floor.
Come on, guys. All right, so I mean, it might just be the fact that I have actually seen the movie, but I have to go with Birdman. Um, I mean, I think at least in this, I don't feel bad about either one winning, but I think Birdman is just it's an example of a higher budget movie than Short Term 12, but still willing to take risks and exploring a different side of cinema where you have more of a black comedy where characters can make fun of themselves, they can express themselves. You know, you have the main character who's trying to create this play, and it explores a lot of things that I think cinema should. I mean, I usually the same exact thing about Short Term 12 as well, from what I'm hearing. So I just have to go with the movie that I've seen that I thoroughly enjoyed and think it deserved all those Oscars, and I'll have to go with Birdman.
All right. So Birdman moves on to the next round. Wow, we spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick this up now.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to pick up a little bit. That's why we're only doing the four matchups. So Birdman moves on, and so are we. We're moving right along to the next matchup. And Michael, you picked both of these movies.
Yes, I did, which is nonsense.
Well, you know, the randomizer did its thing.
Yeah, the bracket gods have chosen.
Yeah.
So, Michael, you want to give us a lowdown on why you've chosen these movies, and we can go from there.
So 500 Days of Summer is one of those weird movies that I saw when I shouldn't have. I was like, I don't know what year did it come? 2009. So I probably saw it like right in 2010, and I was like 15, and you know, all this rom-com nonsense was going on in the world, and I was like, oh well, this movie looks interesting. It looks very indie, and I think honestly this was the first movie I went with or fell in love with that was like super indie. I guess now it's not considered too indie, but back then when it came out, it was like this nonsense movie that people didn't understand. But anyway, it's like kind of about this architect who's living in New York, or I believe it's New York, and he falls in with this girl, and after a while, it's just not working out, and he goes through all this this falling for her, but it's not working nonsense. And it's kind of this, I guess, bittersweet ending. And it just pulls off that rom-com, what I think is a really well scripted and put together rom-com. And as far as City of God is a movie from 2002 about these child gangs in Rio, in Brazil, and it paints this fantastic portrait of real life situations that happen in this part of the world, were happening in this part of the world in the late 90s, early 2000s, that countries like America had never seen, and the European continent had never seen things like this, and it painted a beautiful picture of like art and cinematography and childhood in a world that was extremely different from what people, common moviegoers in the world, were not used to seeing. So that is why I picked those two films.
Okay. Now, Tony, how do you want to go ahead and get some words in on either one of these and kind of, get your thoughts out there?
Yeah. Well, first let me say, Gage, have you seen either of these movies?
I have, yeah.
You have? Okay. Okay. So, dang it. All right. So once again, I have seen the majority of 500 Days of Summer. It was, I mean, I'm gonna be very like brutally honest. When I first saw the trailers and I heard about like what it was and seeing that it was Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I was very much turned off. It was not my genre of movie. Uh, but after actually watching most of it, catching it through a combination of just on TV or friends watching it or on a plane and stuff like that. So I feel like I know the movie. If I watched the whole thing, I probably would miss a scene or two. But it actually is pretty fun to watch. I mean, it's a very I'm looking for the word here, but it's a good feeling sometimes. Like it feels kind of like a warm bowl of soup, and then other times it kind of like tugs your heartstrings and kind of rips them out a little bit sometimes. But it's an offbeat romantic comedy. What can you say about it? It's Deschanel being her quirky self, and then you've got the boyish love interest following her and trying to make things work, and it feels very much like a Sundance film with a budget, like a large budget. It's nice. City of God is
For sure.
Yeah. City of God is one of those movies that it's high on my list of things to watch. And when I saw it, I'm so mad I didn't make time for it because I love these kind of movies where you focus on real life situations and things that are happening in the world, and creating a narrative from it that the average moviegoer can follow is something special, because it's one thing to put a camera on a street corner, something to create a whole feature film around that street corner. So as far as this voting goes, it's going to be hard for me because I really love the idea and what I've seen of City of God. I just wish that I would be able to be more precise in my thoughts on both, but I wouldn't be mad about either one winning. Because once again, like while 500 Days isn't my cup of soup isn't my cup of tea, it's not something that I would want on an average day. I don't think it's a bad movie by any merit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually hadn't seen 500 Days of Summer until this morning.
Gotcha.
So I had to do a lot of refreshing and catching up with some of this stuff. But in terms of with 500 Days of Summer, I really liked how they went about how the writing this movie, how it all flowed, because they jump around a lot, but it doesn't feel like they're jumping around a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and it also benefits that it's only like an hour and a half long, which is a rare occurrence nowadays. It feels like.
Yeah. Like what? It's not 3 hours? Like what?
I know, right?
There's no intermission in the middle. Weird.
I know. But Zooey Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I like them both. And I do agree with you. Zooey Deschanel is very much herself in this movie. And in my eyes, in the beginning of the movie, I was just like, okay, who in the world wouldn't find either one of these two attractive? You know what I mean? Like, and it's like they're both, like, Zooey Deschanel's character makes sense on why she's not dating anybody at that time. But with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's just like, nothing's really happening or whatever else. And I'm just like, dude.
Very much like
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, very much like loner artist. Like I'm just gonna keep to myself and like be in my room, looking at Picasso paintings and playing my guitar. Like, no, dude, like come on.
And then he fell in love and all that.
Yeah.
In terms of City of God, now that movie is just all loads of heavy and depressing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's violent and it's just. I mean, I don't want to talk like we said earlier. We don't have a whole lot of time to waste here. So I mean, I, I I love both of these movies so much. It's just they're both very different. You know,
Hmm.
they're not the same in any kind of way. So it really comes down to what mood are you in on which one you would vote on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, do you want to cry or do you want to like cry and also hate the world at the same time?
I get that from both movies, to be honest.
That's true. That's true. So I think it's Tony's turn to go first. So Tony, take it away here.
Okay. Gosh. I'm gonna go wild card and vote for the movie that I haven't seen, and I wanna go for City of God because I just love this style of movie of taking a camera to the world and showing it to the rest of us. So that'll be my vote, City of God.
Oh man. And I have to go second here. You know, I really I really like this offbeat rom com because that's what it is. It's not like a normal rom com that you're used to, and
Definitely.
it's not a rom com. You know, in most rom coms, it's like, oh, they get in a fight and they get back together at the end,
Yeah, second
which is
act
kind of like how
fight.
they set
Yeah,
it up. They set that up and then they just beat you down with a bat, and
yeah.
they're just like, nope, not happening. Suck it.
Yep.
Like,
You're like waiting for
um,
the turn of like the guy realizing like, oh, I gotta go win the girl by doing this thing. It's like, no, no, you stay down there and you
Yeah,
suffer.
he just doesn't. He just beats himself up more.
but because I mean, it may be just because I've seen it so recently, like this morning, and I grew to love this film over the course of that hour and a half that I was watching it. It 500 Days of Summer has my vote. I fell in love with this movie. It's one of my favorites now. So, Michael, you did a good job. But now it's up to
Thank
you.
you.
You must kill one of
Uh,
your own children here.
Yeah. Sophie's choice.
um, so I will add before I give my vote here. 500 Days of Summer did not win any major awards, but it was nominated for 2 Golden Globes,
Right.
Best Motion Picture, Comedy or Musical, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt for Best Performance by an Actor.
Huh.
I
And
think
then
that's well deserved.
City of God was nominated for 4 Oscars: Best Director, Best Writing, Best Cinematography, and Best Editing. It did not win any, but then it was nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. Also didn't win, but it got a lot of recognition
Yeah.
those years that they were out. But I have to give my vote. I have to go my artsy independent
Uh,
side, and I'm going to go with City of God.
Oh, I
wow.
saw that coming.
There it is. There it is.
How do you feel, Michael?
It's just it's sad, but I mean, City of God is that one of those decade defining films, and it's featured at least when I was in school, it was featured a lot as this iconic foreign film, and it definitely earns its spot in terms of best of since '95.
I mean that it's ranked amongst in a lot of filmmakers' eyes, at least a lot of the critics I've listened to and read about. A lot of these people were like they just talk so highly about City of God. It makes total sense
Yeah.
on why it's
Uh-huh.
kept around. So,
Definitely.
but we're gonna go ahead and move on to this next one. So we have the Darjeeling Limited, which is I think that's a Michael vote
Yep,
there.
another Michael pick.
And then we also have Captain America: The Winter Soldier,
Hey. Okay.
which is a Tony Vitt
Hey.
pick
Hello
there.
there.
So, Tony, how about you go ahead and explain your Winter Soldier pick to us?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel like in the terms of like the pantheon of Marvel movies, like so far my top five. I've been trying to get a top five list, but Winter Soldier has always been my top three because it very much defines, I think, of what you want your serious Marvel movie to be. Because we've seen serious DC, we've seen Dark Knight and Batman Begins, and you can see what a superhero looks like when you give them the gravitas of of respecting them and their source material without making them seem like goofs. So I think Winter Soldier approaches things like political espionage and friendship and like psychology and things that are integral to a lot of Captain America comics, and making them seem logical and fun to watch on screen. And it's beautifully lit. The character design for Bucky and for Captain, I love his suit in that movie, which I know is like everyone has their own favorite suits, but I love Winter Soldier suit the most. It's my personal favorite. That stealth one in the beginning when they're on the ship with Black Widow is just phenomenal. Um, and I think it just flows extremely well from scene to scene. There's not many slow points. It doesn't really drag anywhere, and it's just one of my favorite Marvel movies. And I don't know, that's pretty much the main gist of it without going on and on.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite in terms of Marvel. Probably in my top five. Now, Michael, explain your pick, the Darjeeling Limited.
Okay, the Darjeeling Limited was this middle ground Wes Anderson film that came out uh, in 2007. So it was between all his like earlier work that was pretty well known and his later work, which was Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest Hotel, which got a lot of great criticism uh, the year it came out, which I believe was 2015. So it was this weird like middle movie where he like fell out of the the upper echelons of society and culture for a little while, and then he came back suddenly in the 2010s, the mid 2010s. But this movie is this great portrayal of three brothers who have gone on the request of their mother uh, to basically like I believe it was spread the ashes of either the father or the mother, I can't recall, um, but it's a great like 500 Days. It's this great mixture of comedy and drama, and it adds together a lot of Wes Anderson's signature style, which creates just this perfect, beautiful um, cultural film about India and also about art in the old world.
All right. I guess it's my turn to speak
Yeah.
on these. So, like I said just a few minutes ago, I really like The Winter Soldier. It's in my top five. It is, it's definitely a movie that stands out from the typical Marvel formula. You know,
Mm-hmm.
now a lot of people, a lot of people on record saying the Civil War is better. Respectfully disagree. Civil War was a jumbled mess to me, and it wasn't
Very
edited well.
respectfully, very respectfully disagree.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's
Uh-huh.
that one does. I don't think that one cracks my top
Well,
five at all.
I
So
think Winter Soldier has the advantage of being a very singular story where you have a very defined antagonist, protagonist, whereas Civil War is like, how can we get as many bodies onto the screen as possible as a practice for Infinity War? Like how can we get as many people that we know into this one fight?
and I've gone. I think I've gone on record multiple times saying that I think Infinity War is going to be a really big mess, especially if Civil War was their practice round. They
Yeah.
can do better. They probably can see their failures and know how to improve upon them. They still made like a crap ton of money, so who knows?
I mean, that's
But
given.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I, in terms of that, the Winter Soldier though, it's an espionage film. It sticks out from the crowd. It definitely is something special within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With the Darjeeling project, blah blah blah, Darjeeling Limited. Excuse me. It has one of my favorite directors with Wes Anderson. Michael, you brought Grand Budapest, and that was 2014 because I put it on my list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nominated the same year as Birdman and
Yeah.
Whiplash, which is also on this list
Oh,
somewhere down the
yeah.
ways. And so, obviously, I'm a big fan of that year. But it also has a great cast with Owen Wilson, Adrian Brody, and Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
Not to
Mm-hmm.
say that Captain America does it, because it has, it has Chris Evans, Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Redford, which is, he's a great villain in this movie.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. I mean, so I'm the last one voting, so I'm hoping you guys decide before you get to me, so that way I don't have to choose.
Yeah, okay.
I'm a big fan of both of these films. There's beautifully told stories, very differently told stories, and it'll come down to like a mood thing, like we discussed with the last one. So we'll see how that goes. But Michael, I think you're up to bat first.
So Winter Soldier is definitely in my top 3 for Marvel also, because it brought so much new, and I feel like now Marvel gets the anticipation, and at the time Winter Soldier came out, it was just on the verge of Avengers, and all its Marvel's blowout of awesomeness from everyone.
Yeah.
And I think it came out so unexpectedly. People were like, "Yeah, that's gonna be the Captain America movie," because I didn't even like the first Captain America, at all. I was not into. Yeah, I wasn't into it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. And then I saw this movie by chance. I remember my cousin was like, "We got to go see this," and I was like, "All right, let's go see it. It's something to do." And I ended up loving the whole style, and it was a great story, and it kept it going, and it gave Captain America a really strong story. And then Darjeeling Limited, so many words, so little time. So I'm gonna stand by my indie art house though, and I'm gonna say Darjeeling Limited as my vote.
Gotcha.
And I just want to throw this out here before we move on to Tony. You're up next. Only one of these movies was nominated for an Oscar. It was Captain America.
Is that really true?
Yes.
Yeah, serious. I'm dead serious. I have everything pulled up right in front of me.
That's awesome.
And visual effects.
Yes, it was nominated for visual effects. So it's one of those Oscars that are considered like a lower tier thing. But also, the Winter Soldier has a higher Metacritic score.
I mean,
and IMDb rating. Granted, that's all other people's opinions.
Yeah,
but
that's just Disney buying reviews. I know how it works in Hollywood. It's the mouse.
Yeah. The mouse is everywhere.
Yeah.
He sees all.
I agree.
Got his gloved hands in every pocket.
All right, Tony, go ahead and hit us with your vote.
All right, well, I'm sorry to do this to you, Gage, but I'm gonna have to go with Steve Rogers. I mean, it might be giving a view onto my social life or my life in general, that I just like to turn my brain off and enjoy dumb movies sometimes. But I'm sure that Darjeeling Limited, in many people's minds, is a much better movie, a cinema experience, than perhaps Captain America, or maybe has more to offer to the world of art. But if I'm just talking in terms of movies that I would like to watch, or movies that I just enjoy, Winter Soldier is just one that hits whatever pleasure center in my brain that they have researched over the years to give me all the good dopamine, because I can watch Cap hit guys with that shield all day long, and the scene where Bucky grabs the shield is just like, it's almost jaw dropping, just almost. So, yeah, I just enjoy good old beat 'em up, and Winter Soldier does not disappoint.
It's my turn now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all to you. Yeah.
I really don't like the pressure. So, this is not an easy choice by any means. I really, really enjoy both of these movies. And like I said, one has my favorite director and 3 fantastic actors. One is one of the better made Marvel movies ever. Oh man, oh man. Um, However, it's hard because one got nominated for an Oscar, the other one didn't. Which I think is weird.
I mean, to be fair, it is. I
Especially
mean, with the budget that they have, like to not get nominated for visual effects for a Marvel movie is kind of a shame. Like,
right,
Yeah.
but after seeing Black Panther, I'm kind of worried about their visual effects department. Are they really trying a whole lot?
I mean, yeah. Well, let's end the conversation. Let's not have that right now. But yes,
I mean,
Yeah.
I love the movie. It just like that CGI towards the end really
have
bothered
you
me.
have you done the
Anyway,
Black Panther podcast yet?
the Black Panther podcast, yeah,
Oh,
it's available.
okay,
I can
gotcha.
I'll do the plug.
Oh yeah, please
But
do it. Let's listen to it. Yeah.
yep. But all right. So this is not an easy decision, uh, and but I do feel like it could be the right decision later on in terms of who will stack up against. So this
Yeah.
next who will stack up against these other movies.
Natural selection gauge.
And yeah, it's not a good time. I'm just kind of stalling here. Um, so I really think that I'm giving it to Darjeeling Limited, sim- simply for the fact that the the Wes Anderson is my like one of my favorite directors out there right now. Everything he does to me is magic, and this is no slouch. Um, and it helps because Captain America is one of the many Marvel movies that are in this list. That kind of helped me decide there will be others that will get their chance.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
which brings me to our next round. Actually, our next round is Deadpool versus Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So,
Dun dun dun.
Gotcha.
that's my choice. I feel very confident about that. But now these next two movies I feel like are more heavy hitters than maybe Winter Soldier anyway. Both have kind of rejuvenized the genre as a whole in terms of superheroes for two very different reasons. One gave like the rated R superhero more life, and the other gave women a chance. So, revolutions. Um, now, Tony, you chose both of these movies.
I did. Oh, okay, excellent. Okay, so I guess I'll do a little pr pros and cons. So, I picked Wonder Woman because I think, yeah, I guess partially for representation, but also because I think it's just in terms of DC movies, it's definitely, in my opinion, probably the best one in, maybe ever. Just in terms of like ones that I have enjoyed. We're all entitled to our own opinions, but I'm sure no one's gonna pick Justice League or Batman versus Superman over Wonder Woman. At least I don't think so. Anyway, um, no, I just think that that Gal Gadot, right? She's French. That she knocked it out of the park. I think that she is a beautiful and a strong Wonder Woman and plays that character extremely well. And Chris Pine, right? I can't, all the Chris's I get them
Yeah.
mixed up. Yeah, Chris Pine. He did pretty good as well. He's a very sure thing in any movie, so he did his job well, and they formed this really good pairing. And I think the movie did an excellent job of having. I mean, it's female directed, it's female starring. It doesn't feel like a female superhero movie. It just feels like a superhero movie with a female. I think it's really important in this day and age to get away from the cliches that we're so used to like landing on and resting on and using them as a crutch. So I just thoroughly enjoyed it and thought it was a fantastic movie. Visually, it's pretty stunning, especially when they're on her homeland. And the plot is pretty. It's pretty safe. It's nothing new, nothing revolutionary. A little bit of a twist at the end, but really, I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect from a Hollywood movie. Now, Deadpool, on the other hand, it is Deadpool, correct? We're doing Wonder Woman, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Deadpool, on the other hand, I think it is. When they told me that they were making a Deadpool movie, I cringed because I'm like, oh boy, it's gonna be chimichangas and Deadpool like having sex with unicorn plush tall dolls and like Deadpool like skateboarding while upside down and shooting bad guys like. Which it kind of was, but not to the point of annoyance. You know, they like Ryan Reynolds loves Deadpool, and you can tell he loves it because like even before they made the movie, he was promoting it and trying to get it done. And they put out that little like you know was like 3 or 4 minute teaser of like Deadpool killing guys in a car, which basically became one of the opening scenes for the Deadpool the character. You know, so I think it did very well what I was very much not expecting of creating a character who is self-aware, like very self, like they know they are a character, and exploring the wackiness of his whole character arc and I don't know I just enjoyed it. It was a fun ride to go on to watch Wade Wilson do his thing and I thought actually the story wasn't half bad either. They did X-Men like original color suits and it looked cool, which was also surprising. And the characters like Negasonic or Teen Negasonic Warhead, right? Negasonic Teen Warhead.
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
just I mean, all across the board, it was way better than I think a lot of us expected. And it definitely deserves a movie deserves to be watched again if you want to have a good time. Like watch Deadpool because even if you don't like some of the wackier comics that kind of get out there and in your face, this is much more of a even ground. Like there are wacky moments, but there are also moments of actual like legit comedy or witty remarks and snark that make the character who he is. So I just really enjoyed both, and apparently I'm a sucker for superhero movies because these now three in total so far. But yeah, I
Well,
mean that's what's coming out in Hollywood. So there you go.
I mean, saying that, obviously you like superhero movies, especially with the three that you have chosen, they just happen to get grouped together. These are not bad superhero movies to like. These are all very well made movies.
Yeah.
And I've gone on record saying that I preferred Logan, but I mean it was a very slim margin.
Yeah.
This last year, because I mean this last year we got not only Wonder Woman and Logan, but we also got Guardians, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so
I believe
it was.
Logan's on the list, correct? Because I would have put it on there.
I don't think Logan's on our list.
Is it not? Oh
Oh
no.
no, I don't think it is.
I think.
Oh man.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. Let's not panic.
Okay.
It'll be okay.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of movies we had to leave off this list. Like
Yeah.
I didn't include Chicago, which is excellent. Which is an excellent
Yeah,
musical.
Chicago's
and-
beautiful. Yeah, I kind of just did it off the
but-
cuff of my head. I didn't really do it off of a movie. Like, it was kind of just like I just kind of wrote down a list of movies that I liked, and then I kind of just like went back and like rechecked it against your list. But yeah, no, Logan's definitely a great choice and would definitely would have made it pretty far, I think. But anyway,
but that's okay. We got like I don't feel bad about any of the movies that are on our list.
No,
though.
no.
But anyway, with Wonder Woman, like I said, both of these movies are revolutionary, but in their own way. Now, Wonder Woman really brought this women's revolution to the forefront, and it really showed that yes, a leading woman can make a lot of money. Like last year, the three highest grossing movies, women led.
Yeah.
It was The Last Jedi, Wonder Woman, and Beauty and the Beast. How Beauty and the Beast got that much money, I'll never know. But
Disney magic.
the
Disney.
Disney. But like I love Wonder Woman a lot. My only problem with Wonder Woman was that last act when the last fight scene against Ares.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rest of the movie I thought was beautifully shot. The cinematography was pretty good, and the acting was surprisingly in a superhero film on point.
Yeah.
Now we move over to Deadpool, which won over all of our hearts.
Yes.
In different ways.
weird way.
It made the rated R movie really feel like a money grab, and Logan had the same success. Not to the same level, but it had a lot of success with this. The cast was lovable, both these movies, the cast were great.
Yeah.
And like you said, Ryan Reynolds was very dedicated to this role, and you could tell that with everything that he was doing and how does anybody remember the social media marketing and everything for this movie? Like,
Yeah.
they really went all out. Came out on Valentine's Day, all this other stuff. They put this in a February date for the simple fact that they didn't think it would make money, because February is not known for making money. Now we look at Black Panther and we question why. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
now this next movie is coming out here in a couple months in May, and it's surrounded by the Han Solo film. It's surrounded by Avengers: Infinity War, and Fox, maybe Disney, are very confident in putting it there. I think it's just, to me, that it's very surprising from both of these. I didn't expect either one of them to perform as well as they did. So, yeah.
I want to put out there that Deadpool has, and this might sound weird, my favorite sex scene in any movie in cinema history. Because that, like,
I can agree to that.
it's like, what is it like? It feels
I
like
can
10
totally
minutes of just like a montage of different holidays and how they're celebrating each holiday themed to their sex. Because like I'm the kind of person where like I understand why it happens, but like I'm very uncomfortable watching people in movies have sex. I don't know what it is, but just like it just and like maybe because I know it's a movie, I know like the actors have to like wear little like cups on their genitals so they don't touch, but like it's just very uncomfortable for me to watch people have sex in a movie. But like that, I could watch a Deadpool sex scene like on repeat. Like it's just it feels like it's so genuine, and like it's like half erotic but like also half comedy, to the point where like it makes me want to laugh every time, and I do, because it's just so well, and like the acting is great. It's Morena Baccarin, who does Vanessa. She's gorgeous,
Mm-hmm.
and their chemistry is just so like it feels so genuine. Like two people who have found each other and can celebrate their weird sexuality together. It's A plus in all ways.
It's definitely weird sexuality.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
and on that note, it's like you can make like, I didn't know you could make sex more appealing.
You thought that was
And
appealing?
it was like, yeah. No, I mean, not like appealing. I mean, like,
Please clarify.
Not in that
Was it the
sense.
Women's Independence Day one that really got you going?
no, I mean, it was like funny. Like, usually you see it. Going back to what I was trying to get to in my main point, like, rated R doesn't usually have like a rhyme or reason. It's just like blatantly rated R.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool kind of brought that meaning to rated R. And so in terms of like those sex scenes or like the violence or something, like it actually gave it more appeal in terms of this movie's rated R, and that's why you need to go see it.
Yes.
Because people don't go like, that's rated R, so that's why I need to see it. And this movie like changed that for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike, I know you just talked about Deadpool. Is there anything you would like to say about Wonder Woman while we're going here?
Yeah. I think that Wonder Woman was obviously DC's best that they put out live action wise.
Since The Dark Knight.
And
I would like to throw that one out there.
Yeah.
Two different universes, but...
Since Dark Knight.
Oh, well, okay. I don't count the Nolan
Totally
film.
different.
Yeah, I mean,
Nolan
it's
films-
considered completely
Yeah,
different
no.
things.
Anyway, Wonder Woman, it had a good storyline, a great cast, a great female lead. It earned all the credit that it got, and that's all I have to say about Wonder Woman.
Simple enough. All right. So I think, are we back to the beginning now on how we were voting? So it's me, Michael, and Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Ugh. I hate this. Okay.
Also, Deadpool has was nominated for 2 Golden Globes. Wonder Woman was really not nominated for anything big.
Yeah, it was just like little things that he got nominated for, which is not really surprising.
No.
I mean, it's surprising, I think, more so that Patty Jenkins didn't get any recognition at like a Golden Globes or something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that Wonder Woman deserved to be into the Oscars, which is why I said, I
Probably
preferred Logan, because Logan, I think, was better made in terms of a film aesthetic that the Oscars looks for,
Sure.
and especially, and the script is what got Logan nominated for an Oscar. So
Yeah.
But Logan's not here.
Logan's not here. I know.
It's not in the building.
This is a hard choice. because the cast in both these movies are great. However, a majority of each side has very forgettable characters. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember any of those guys that Wonder Woman was fighting alongside except for Chris Pine's character.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
What are you talking about? There was the like vaguely Native American guy, the vaguely like Irish guy. Like
it has the
vague,
same problem.
a
It has
vaguely
the same
minority
problem
theme.
that Wonder Woman has the same problem that Rogue One has to me. Which Rogue One is again in this list later on. It's like these characters. Why do I care about them? You know what I mean? Because it takes place in 1920 whatever, I think, right? It takes place during the First World War.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't
Yes.
remember the exact
So
time frame that they give us.
Germans, but no Nazis.
However, they did make me care about Steve Trevor, even though I knew he wasn't going to make it to Batman versus Superman or whatever, and what? Why was there a huh?
I like
Chris
Pine.
Pine. I do too, but he's already somehow signed on to do another film. I don't know how how they're going to make him come back, but they will.
It's Marvel magic.
Probably,
I mean, like there are two Human Torches that are now two other Marvel superheroes, so like it doesn't really matter.
I guess, yeah, it's a comic book universe. None of this stuff really applies to, logic.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's vote, and I'm up first. I was just kind of stalling there for a little bit. I really don't know. I really like both of these movies. There's one thing that Wonder Woman has going against it, and that's Zack Snyder.
What? Oh,
Whoops.
yeah.
I'm not a fan. I'm tired of this slow motion nonsense.
I mean, story by Zack Snyder, written by or screenplay by
Yeah, it's
Alan
screenplay
Heinberg,
by
so-
Alan Heinberg. The score was amazing in Wonder Woman, which is something we haven't really brought up as score.
Oh, that theme is amazing. Like I can't tell you one DC theme except for the
Yes.
like that
Yeah.
Wonder Woman theme is so iconic.
Yeah, it was on point, really well done. Man, this is a hard one. This is a really hard one. I'm thinking I'm going to have to give it to Deadpool. Locking it in. And
Yeah, final answer.
Because if I keep thinking about it, I'm just gonna keep flip flopping back and forth. So I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Deadpool. That is my answer. And I think Michael, you're up next.
Oh, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was great, but
Uh-oh.
Deadpool is in my top 3 superhero movies, and I have never laughed so hard in a movie theater in my life. So I gotta say,
True,
Deadpool.
I was next to him for this one.
Yeah, we were dying.
Tony, unfortunately, you don't get to vote on your own movies, which is kind of
Right.
a cruddy deal. But who would you have voted for?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess like if this was an official ballot, I'd put one in for Wonder Woman because it deserves it. But I think if I had to do a tiebreaker, it would be really tough, and I would probably give it to Deadpool. But I mean, I do want to say that Wonder Woman would definitely, I would not be upset about it moving on another round or two because it is a wonderful movie for this time period as we get further towards women's equality and activists like moving upwards in Hollywood and in our world and it's just a really well made movie at that also. Like not only is it good for feminists, it's good for the world because it's just fun to watch. But I think Deadpool, it's just that's my man. He's just too darn good.
Yeah,
Sure.
we
Maximum effort,
I feel like this podcast is like kind of like we really get into women equality in this podcast a lot because we feel like it's unfair how women have been treated in Hollywood for such a long time. And,
Yeah.
that's why it was such a hard choice because I thought about the impact that Wonder Woman had. I just thought that as a movie, it didn't hit me the same as Deadpool. And that's basically what made me choose Deadpool in that moment. But Wonder Woman obviously had a huge impact on this big movement going on throughout Hollywood because I mean, and that is, and just because we're eliminating her right now, that doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. I just want to get that out
No.
there. The 4 movies we eliminated today does not mean they're
They're
bad
not bad.
movies.
And at all, in any way.
Yeah.
It came down to which one do we feel is better right now. Like, again, these, like, a lot of these choices were based off moods for me, at least. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah, honestly, like on a different day, I could have picked, totally different choices. Like, it's just, looking at these 2 movies, like I'm on their IMDb pages and like just, yeah, like Deadpool. Like I remember like there's not a single scene of Deadpool where like I'm bored. Like I'm waiting maybe, but like I'm engaged. Where Wonder Woman, there are scenes where like they're explaining plot lines and kind of
Mhm.
like, slowing down the action. I'm just kind of drifting in and out, like waiting for the next scene to happen because it's just it's a superhero movie, but it's that the origin stories always has those slow parts where they try to explain things that are happening, but Deadpool just doesn't really care. It just keeps going. If you can't catch up, too bad. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like I said, I think that Wonder Woman's third act is really what killed it for me. I
yeah,
wasn't a fan of the last fight and stuff like that. I honestly don't think that her and Steve Trevor needed to have sex in that village because I didn't think that really enhanced the story. And it was
Oh,
just like,
yeah,
oh
that
yeah, by the
happened.
way, they're in a relationship. Like it to me that felt unnecessary. So it's just a very few little things that took Wonder Woman down. Michael, any closing thoughts?
I think, like you guys said, voting kind of on an emotion, but I'm also looking personally at like films that I think will stand the test of time here. Um, and I feel like we're voting in the right direction in that sense,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
can see. Yeah. Oh well, those are all the ones we're gonna cover for today. We went through 4 matchups out of the many that there are to do,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that this was a excellent first day of voting,
yeah.
and
It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I would like to thank. First, I'll just say, okay, let's do it in order here since I've never done multiple guest podcasts. This is exciting. Tony, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this was excellent, and I'm definitely gonna try to get a complete list next time, so I've watched every movie, so I can actually talk about them more in depth. But this has been great. I really enjoy this.
Yeah, I'll send you the movies that we'll cover next week, obviously. And Michael, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Well, it has been a blast doing this debate show with you. Folks, this is Greenlit Flicks, and from all of us here, we'll see you next time.